like us. They are social beings, and they inhabit the entire planet. But they are more, many more. There are 2.5 million of these six-legged creatures for every human being. What can we learn from them? Most ant species live in the Earth's tropical belt. Here in the Amazonian rainforest are the tiniest representatives, and the largest. Deep in the jungle, a giant ant is on the hunt. A species that humans should also be wary of. The bullet ant's sting hurts like a bullet from a gun, hence the name. The workers of this giant ant species hunt alone and very slowly. Because they are large and fierce, these 2-centimeter-long ants have hardly any enemies. The beaked toad, too, seems to know not to mess with this ant. Bullet ants are excellent climbers, like most ants. From the treetops, a tangle of vines and branches reaches down to the forest floor, and from a small tree trunk directly into the underground burrow. Tunnels as thick as a finger run 1 meter deep into the earth, where the heat of the tropical sun cannot penetrate so easily. This is where the little giants hide their treasures. In a chamber in the root zone of the tree, the bullet ant queen rules her dark realm. Eggs, larvae, and pupae simply lie on the ground here, and right next door, prey is stored and dismembered together. Mandibles can crush any insect with ease. The offspring of the bullet ants are safe down here and are carefully licked clean by oversized brush-like tongues. The next foray is commencing. As always, the worker sets off alone, ready to strike at any time, and if necessary, to stab. The XXL ant collects sugary flower nectar, and in doing so, it enters into an ancient barter. Pollination for a sweet reward. The sugar from the nectar is not enough to feed the ant brood in the colony at home. They need protein from the bodies of captured insects. But the worker can now go on the hunt stronger. The protective burrow, the ant's nest, seems to be an ingenious invention. It is the heart of the insect colony, from which the territory is controlled and defended. In this Amazonian forest live around 400 species of ants. They inhabit every nook and cranny, from the belly of the earth to high up in the canopy. some of them are downright terrifying. It's not the gliding ants that are peacefully milking a tropical barklouse, but quite different six-legged creatures with a terrible reputation. If you spot them, it is best to keep a close eye on them. To take to one's heels and run, flee as fast as one can. Their 10,000-fold crawling can sometimes be heard from afar. It is these hectic orange creatures that are feared by most animals in the rainforest. Army ants. Wherever they appear, it is as if a seemingly endless swarming band is winding its way through the forest. It can take an hour for the trek to pass. They always have their offspring with them. Army ants have no burrow. They are always on the move, the nomads among the ants. Heavily guarded by female soldiers with monstrous mandibles, always ready to fearlessly confront anyone who crosses the path of their trek. But some animals even seek the proximity of army ants. Rove beetles emit scents that perfectly resemble those of the army ants. This means that the parasites remain unrecognized and are even cared for and defended. The Amazonian giant centipede, on the other hand, is so heavily armored that the ants don't even dare to attack. They wait in a traffic jam until the obstacle has moved away. At some point, the army ant queen and the larvae need rest. Then the ants build a bivouac from their own bodies, a seemingly haphazard scramble in which everything has its purpose and its order. So, even the army ants don't completely do without a dwelling. This is where they store their provisions, where the rove beetles rest, and where the queen and ant offspring slumber. In terms of mass, the army ants are by no means the champions of Amazonia. There is a species of ant that creates millions of holes in the forest. Bitter, milky sap, intended as protection against predators, does not deter them. Leafcutter ants cut up the foliage of trees piece by piece. Glands, hairs, or thorns also have no effect on these creatures. Although they live exclusively on leaves, these ants cannot digest foliage. Nevertheless, they tirelessly cut out pieces of leaves and cart them off overhead. The trees from which the leaves are harvested are often located far away from the leafcutter ant burrow. A long conveyor belt moves across the forest floor, carrying away up to 100 kilograms of leaves every day. The ants in a leafcutter colony are on the move day and night to meet their great demand for fresh foliage. But they are particularly industrious after dusk. Under the cover of darkness, they are safer from enemies, especially from parasitic flies, which like to lay eggs on the leaves when the sun is out in order to smuggle them into the anthill. A hurdle race, often 100 meters long. Each piece of leaf weighs half as much as the ant carrying it. For a human to achieve the same proportion, he would have to carry 6 bowling balls overhead for kilometers. The leafcutter ant burrow is a monstrous structure, the size of a truck, and is located deep underground. The hall-like entrances are built on small mounds so that the underground burrow is not flooded, even during heavy rainfall. About 2 meters deep in the ground lies the secret of the leafcutter ants. A huge, honeycomb-shaped fungus the size of a giant pumpkin. The fungus lives off the pieces of leaf that the ants drag in, cut into small pieces, and incorporate into the fungus's web. In return, the ants reap tiny fungal fruiting bodies, their only food. This is their trick. They keep a foreign organism that processes their food, making the inedible edible. A symbiosis in which both partners, fungus and ant, are dependent on each other. No other ant species in the world forms such large colonies, and no other ant shapes its habitat as conspicuously as the fungus-growing leafcutters. But in one respect, the ants of the Amazon rainforest are not unique. There are other ants that also grow a fungus, even far away from the tropics. In Central Europe, ants climb trees to harvest food for their fungus. Jet black ants protect and milk herds of aphids. A quick flick of the antennae, and the aphid excretes one sugary droplet after another. A symbiosis between two very different insects. The fungus plays no role at first. With full stomachs and bloated abdomens, the jet black ants march headfirst towards the forest floor. Like the leafcutter ants, they have to cover more or less distance depending on where their nest is located. It is usually inside a hollow tree. Inside lies the secret of the jet black ants, a tissue of silky threads the size of a football, a labyrinth with thousands of corridors and countless chambers to store everything an ant colony needs. The basis is dead, chewed wood that is interspersed with living fungal tissue. The fungus is fed by the jet black ants with honeydew from the aphids. The growing fungus shapes and maintains the ant's nest. Again, both parties, fungus and ant, benefit from each other. There are almost 200 species of ants in the heart of Europe. Each of them has special abilities to survive. Several species live in floodplains, even during floods. But how do tiny creatures that can't fly cope when the flood comes? Common red ants quickly notice when their nest is in danger of drowning in the alluvial forest floor. They come to the surface and they take the queen, eggs and larvae and literally stick together. Each individual can remain underwater for several hours. Then the ants rotate, so they persevere no matter how long the storm lasts. The community saves them. Even after it has stopped raining, the water level in the floodplain can continue to rise. Then you can see the small living ant rafts drifting around again. Until they dock somewhere and the red ants go ashore, at least temporarily, to recover from their odyssey. The valleys of major rivers often harbor a particularly mild climate. Not only wine thrives here, but also wild plants and animals that are otherwise more likely to be found further south. One of them is an odd ant with a special diet. Harvester ants climb stems and stalks and live up to their name. They collect seeds from a wide variety of plant species and carry them back to their burrow as provisions. the workers bring a wide variety of seeds from all directions. Starchy grass seeds are particularly popular. Cherry pits also serve as food for the ants. Once again, it becomes clear that ants, which can carry 40 times their body weight, are among the strongest animals in the world. Harvester ants also fancy dandelion seeds. Time and again, the ants find that the dandelions flying umbrellas cause problems on the way to the underground larders. As soon as the dandelion seed becomes wedged in the burrow's entrance, the workers bite off its stalk without further ado. They then store the grain with the other seeds. Before humans used agro-industrial poisons, grain fields in locations with a mild climate were ideal harvester ant habitats. If such fields are located in plains, they are especially vulnerable during severe weather. As always, it is especially tough on the smallest creatures. A grain field is inundated due to a storm with heavy rainfall. The harvester ant's burrow is flooded. They are not the only ones to have temporarily lost their home. The harvester ant colony has saved itself on a poppy petal. Harvester ants cannot swim like red ants, but they know how to use a raft. They sit tight until the wind and current drive them to a landing place, and they use the proverbial straw to bring themselves to safety. Their most important family member, the queen, is saved. There is hardly any habitat in which ants do not play a role in the natural cycle. Ants live even in the driest places of Central Europe. This former military training area is home to European bison. The ground is bare and sandy in many places, and it is kept open by the massive hoofed animals that live here in a large herd, to the benefit of many heat-loving species. Remains of military buildings serve as breeding grounds and shade. Next to an old bunker, lots of strange craters in the sand. They decay and are constantly being recreated. Building a crater next to bison dung. Why not? It seems to be an ideal place. The builder is the antlion, a predatory insect larva. One sits at the bottom of each crater and waits. Nearby, numerous wild bees nest in self-dug breeding tunnels. Where there is constant reproduction, there is also death. So, it is worthwhile for the sand ants to patrol the bare ground. The worker has picked up a scent and is examining the area. The antlion does not miss this. The walls of the crater begin to move. The hail of sand grains does the rest. There is no escaping this for the sand ant. The sandy soil, the dry climate, and the large animals have created a habitat for the ants and their enemies. When night falls over the European mini-desert, the ants' enemies show their delicate side. Where there was once a crater in the sand, an antlion has pupated. Now it emerges from the ground as a flying insect in search of a partner. First, the wings must dry and harden. Then, it heads out into the night. Behind the sandy area with the bison lies an oak forest. Once again, the ants that live there benefit from large co-inhabitants, this time from trees, from oak trees. In late summer, the fruits fall from the trees. Some acorns are very special from an ant's perspective. A weevil larva has developed in such an acorn at the top of the tree, and it has hatched through the hole. Now leptothorax ants live in this partially eroded acorn, midgets compared to most other ants in Europe. From their safe and inconspicuous dwelling, the tiny ants go in search of food. Their colony is accessible. There is room for up to 50 workers next to the queen, inside the small cavity. Honeydew, which drips down from the tree sap-drinking aphids in the oak forest, provides energy. animal prey, crucial for supplying the larvae with protein, is brought into the acorn. Larger finds are cut up on site. The head of the mosquito is a whole portion. The mosquito's abdomen doesn't really want to be cut up. So the scouts help each other and drag the valuable goods over the first few uneven centimeters until it becomes easier. Finally, the mosquito is moved into the larder. The leptothorax ant colony will feed on it for a week. At least, if nothing happens. When these acorn lovers move through the oak forest, it is a question of luck whether the colony of tiny ants survives. The wild boars are not alone with their interest in acorns. The squirrel doesn't really like the acorn if it is inhabited by ants. The jay only needs a quick glance to realize that another uninhabited acorn would probably be better. A blessing in disguise for the leptothorax ants. But now, having become homeless, they have to look for a new place to stay. Moving into a re-let home is widespread among ants. However, the degree of adaptation of this next ant is unsurpassed. Inside an oak gall, in which gall wasps once developed, lives a colony of Colobopsis ants, led by the queen with her large abdomen. Some of her descendants have a special head shape, soldiers with a flat, armored forehead. These ants have a very special task. They were born to be bouncers. They hold their head plate into the gate of the mini ant nest. The door opens when a worker from her own family approaches and is closed again. If a family member from the inside wants to exit, the ant soldier moves aside. Again, she holds her head plate into the opening as a stopper. However, if a hostile 4 dots ant approaches, the bouncer will not budge. Gall wasps, gulls, and Colobopsis ants. A ménage à trois. Other ants are also involved in a 3-way relationship, such as the red ants of this wet meadow. Red ants are aggressive towards strangers. There are regular brawls. water buffalo graze in this wet meadow. The ruminants eat reeds, meadowsweet and other rampant grasses and perennials, but they avoid the crucial plant in our three-way relationship because they don't like it, the great burnet. On the meadow floor, the predatory red ants drag a dead bee towards their burrow. Meanwhile, a rare butterfly mates and sunbathes on the flowers of the great burnet, the dusky large blue. The butterfly cannot exist without the great burnet, not only because the blue butterfly likes its nectar. It lays its eggs only on the unripe buds of the great burnet. On the ground, the red ants are on the prowl. Above, more and more butterfly eggs looking like little golf balls are sticking to the buds. When the dusky large blue caterpillars hatch, they first eat part of the eggshell. Then they disappear inside the flower of the great burnet. They take on the color of the flower and feed on it for about 14 days. This does not harm the plant. It easily compensates for the losses. After about 2 weeks as a flower parasite, the caterpillars attach a thread in order to abseil. The ants are already waiting. The thread usually rips soon, and the blue butterfly's caterpillars make a rough landing right in the middle of the red ants' hunting grounds. The caterpillar's scent leads the little hunters to them. Now the offspring of the dusky large blue is swallowed up by the darkness of the burrow. But because it has a chemical camouflage, the red ants do not consider the caterpillar as prey, but, according to its scent, an ant larva. So they don't store the larva in the larder, but in a very special place. They bring them to their own offspring. Here they care for the fake baby, which is soon much bigger than all the others. The deceitful caterpillar thrives because it eats some of the ant larvae over the months, going unnoticed and undisturbed. Until at some point it pupates, only to emerge from the teeming ant nest the following year as a fully grown, dusky large blue butterfly. The ants are not always the ones who are betrayed. The sundew, a carnivorous plant, grows in raised bogs. It unfolds its sticky tentacles, because the nutrient-poor bog soil does not provide enough. Captured and digested insects provide the plant with what it needs. Above all, nitrogen, without which no plant growth is possible. The prey is enclosed and dissolved, and then digested with enzymes on the surface of the leaves. The bog is also home to other creatures that suffer from the lack of nitrogen and that are unable to catch insects. Black bog ants have practically no competition here. They don't mind getting wet, and they are good climbers. That helps them when crossing the countless water-filled ditches in their habitat. Their most important trick: bog ants hardly ever hunt themselves. They scavenge the trap leaves of carnivorous plants. The ants steal 3/4 of the sundew's prey. The bog ants make ends meet thanks to gang theft. The stolen goods migrate towards the ant burrow in the sphagnum moss and, already pre-digested by the sundew, serve as food for the ant brood. More often, ants are not enemies but allies of the plants. Behind the bog, in the coniferous forest, grows an inconspicuous plant with small yellow flowers from which long pods full of seeds grow, the greater celandine. When the pods ripen, they do not fall down as a whole, but burst open and scatter the seeds. Each of the seeds has a white appendage that has only one purpose. It is meant to attract ants, which carry the find through the forest, later eat only the appendage, and drop the seeds somewhere. This is how the ants spread the plant, a trick used by many plants, also on this uneven pasture. This here is the largest occurrence of ant species in the world. More than 150 million workers live closely together in approximately 7,000 ant colonies, right in the heart of Europe, not in the Amazonian jungle. There is a colony of yellow meadow ants in every single meadow mound. The queens of these ant cities are closely related, but each of them rules their own realm. Herbs and grasses that prefer loose soil grow on top of the anthills. The inside of a mound is full of holes like a Swiss cheese. Chambers full of ant eggs and larvae. A rich source of food for those who can get to it. The green woodpecker specializes in ants. The jay is also interested in the bustle on the ground. There used to be meadow ant colonies everywhere on the countless cattle pastures in the country. This once ubiquitous source of insect protein has become rare. The disappearance of pastures is one of the reasons for the extinction of insects. It also affects ants, which play such an important role in our natural world, and not just in the distribution of plants. Ants are indispensable, even when you would least expect it, in the middle of winter. Generally, a bad time for insect-eating bird species, which is why most of them have long since migrated south. Not the green woodpecker. It knows how to get to wood ants in sub-zero temperatures. They are easy prey when they are huddled together and frozen. The woodpecker simply digs a tunnel into the heart of the anthill and eats until he is full. A new year begins, and the snow is slowly melting in the forest of the wood ants. The green woodpecker has left his trace on the anthill. The ants need to repair the damage as soon as possible. Still clammy and unable to work, the insects emerge from the main and side entrances of the colony. They first have to stretch and regain their strength. Then they warm up in the rays of the spring sun. Thousands of them. Like a carpet that follows the wandering rays of the sun. Once warmed up, the animals run inside, release the heat, come back up, and heat up again on the surface. Ants have been around for more than 100 million years. Since then, they have used ingenious tricks to survive in their environment. They live successfully in strictly organized states. A role model for us humans? As clever as the six-legged creatures seem to us when they drag resin clumps into their nests as medicine, they are just following their instincts. Unlike human colonies, ant colonies are extended families. They usually consist of one mother, the queen, and her offspring, the workers, who are all sisters. Nevertheless, the ants teach us that cooperation and clever division of tasks are worthwhile for the good of the community, and therefore for each individual.